right, so focusing on the view area within Tableau. So data views are displayed in a table on every sheet. So a table is a collection of rows and columns, and it consists of headers, axes, panes, cells, and marks. So these elements may not be easily visible in some of the visualization. For example, let me just quickly create a text table here. Let me pick segment, possibly region, and profits. Yeah, let me make this discrete to avoid confusion. Like I said, you can see my previous video on how to remove ABCs and how to basically know the difference between a discrete and continuous variable. But for now, let me use one of the methods to remove that. Okay, cool. Oh, let's just leave it as this. Now let's just focus on this. This is a text table, okay, or cross tabs. So we do not have some of the features easily available, for example, panes, and I'll be explaining some of the elements. Again, I said we have headers, we have axes, we have panes, we have cells, and we have marks. Again, marks are intersections, like I said, which contains this one. So let me pick it one after the other. So we have field labels. So the label of a discrete field, when it's added to the row or column, so it could be, this is a discrete field, it could be a row, it could be column, and this is what it's manifesting as. So so we have members of that field. Okay, so again, this one is described as category. So category is a field labels. All right, not necessarily the members of that label. For example, you have furniture, office, and technology as the members of that category, that field. Okay, so this is the field label category, and these are the members, but the field labels refers to the category. Again, we have title. Title is just part of the, and it's the name of the sheet or dashboard or story. For now, we are looking at sheet. When we create a dashboard, it also has a title. I can decide to change by double clicking and give it whatever name you want. And just a sample. So by default, it comes as the name of the sheet. So you can see that the name of the sheet. So if we do not rename it, it just shows the name. So there is a title region. So we have the marks. Again, like I said, there's the mark region, and it's controlled by the marks card. And the data that this is the data that represents intersection of the fields. So intersection between profit and category is what gives us a mark. Okay, so we can make it bar chart. That data point, you can make it any shape, you can make it a map. Just know that it's like combination of profit and category creates that data point. Okay, so again, it should be a dimension and a measure. All right, so if it's just, let's just test, for example, to category code data, this is what it just gives you. Okay, just give you that point. Okay, this is what we call known as marks. Okay, but yeah, we're looking at a continuous versus discrete field. So let's move to legends. So legends, for example, if I decide to put layers of information like profits, or let's say, sorry, region. Let me put region in my color. Okay, I need to break it down the more. Let's remove, okay, now region is showing, okay, because I think it's too minute, but you can see this legend come up. So it describes any color you see in here. That is red, that is north. I'm using all, I guess. Okay, that is, so everything here is for central region. Obviously we do not have any supplies, but in case you see north and south, just know that legend is a key that describes how the data is encoded in your view. So yeah, that's the legend here. So let's move to axis. Axis now is created when you had a measure. That's a field that contains quantitative or numerical information. This is a measure. right there. So you can only have axis for numerical measure. So this is an axis. Another way to, why I'm explaining all this is when you're about to edit, you will know what you are editing. So if I say I right click on this to edit, you can see it's saying edit axis. So when we get to this point, it's not going to tell us to edit add axis. Okay, you see, it's just showing me header at the end of it. So that brings us to headers. So headers are the member of a field, the member name. So these are headers which belongs to this field label called category. So these are headers, and it's usually for a dimension or categorical data. So these are an axis, it contains number, and these are headers. Okay, that's a difference. Sorry. So captions now. There is no caption visible here because if you look at the top of my menu here, you can see that I have worksheet. When I click worksheet, I can decide to unlock any feature. You can see that show caption is not visible. Show summary, show cards. You can see I can decide to hide any of it from this menu. All right, it's showing sort controls. There are a whole lot of menus in here as well. So try to explore this. So when I say show caption, you can see it's showing a caption here. So it's saying you can decide to edit by double clicking, and you can say type whatever description you want to help the user of your dashboard know what it entails. So another one is pane and cells. So panes, I've said headers are this one. And what are panes? So panes are usually, let's go to sheet 1 because this will describe it very well. So they work hand in hand with headers. If you decide to edit, for example, this part of it now, I say format or edit, you can see it brings out header and pane, and it could be confused, and you're like, what is an, I know what a header is right now, but what is a pane? So panes are usually used together with header, but I've created a text table, or you can call it crosstabs, that can explain that concept better. And if we'll be able to know all these elements, we'll be able to understand how formatting works. Now, pane is defined by the intersection of fields on the rows and column shelves. So again, it's similar to marks. Marks are just intersection between rows and columns, as we described in here. All this area in the view area are mark areas. So when we come to panes, is almost the same thing. However, it's different because for a pane, it is multiple cells belonging to a region, to a particular field, not necessarily region. It could be any field. But if a single field has multiple cells attached to it, like for example, this is a cell, a unit of data within this visualization. So if it has multiple cells in there, that belongs to a single field label, in this case region, it's called a pane, and it's usually used within this text card. I'll show you how that works. Now we've been able to create this crosstab or text table. Let's see how to format this. You can actually format by right clicking or by going to this part of the menu. You can see at the top here, format. You can, for the worksheet, for the entire worksheet, if you just want to change the entire font, alignment, shading, borders for the sheet, you can use this particular part. But if you just want to change or format or edit a particular element, as we've described before, the header, the pane, the axis, you can right click on that section. So how do I know this is a field label? From the description, this is a field label because it's the name of a field, and the members of that field are called categories or called headers. So let's right click on this and assume we want to format it. You see what it brings in here? It brings field labels. So when we come to profits, when we right click and say format, again, it gives us the option for field labels because these are names of fields with multiple members in there. So let's come to consumer, for example, and right click. You will see it's giving us header because it recognizes as header. Again, when we come to region, format, header is still there. So for profits, although it looks as though we have numbers in there. It's seen as members because a discrete value in there. Let's say format. It's going to give us a header option. Again, let's try to change this to continuous and see if it's still going to give us the header option. Right click on this and say format. It's just giving us as columns. It identifies it as columns. Okay. All right. So that's how Tableau recognizes it. So again, if you do not know what this element is, you will not understand how the formatting works. So like I said, when we decide to change a pane, like I said, multiple cells, why is it not giving us the option of a pane? Why is it saying header? All right. So now let's decide to switch from header to pane and see if it's going to recognize our formatting. You can see the color is not changing even when we change its profits as a field. It's not changing even with pane. So, but let's decide to bring this in here. You can see the color has changed. Let's decide to change it again. Right click this. Even if it is a pane is identified by it being multiple cells belonging to a region or to a field. I keep saying region, to a single field, multiple cells belonging to a single field, and it's being in this text mark. And again, when you want to format such, you come in here, right click on it, click format. It gives you the option of a column. Okay, come in here, switch to sum and profit, which is the you're looking at, the field name. Then you can see it's showing header. Come in here and highlight pane, and there you have what you want to change. You can see it changes to different colors as we maneuver it. So a pane is when it's in here and it belongs to multiple cells. Let's decide to do something tricky as well. Let's right click this and say, is this a pane? Let's say format. And I say, fine, it's giving me a region. It's telling me it's in a pane section highlighted. But is this a pane or is it a header? Let's decide to change the color. You can see it didn't respond because it's saying we have highlighted the pane in here, but it's a header. Okay, so when we decide to switch to header, then it recognizes, oh, this header code region. All right, but that wasn't the case for this one. We had to say right click, format. It's showing columns, right? You come to fields, sum profits, because that's what we are trying to change. It's showing us header, right? No. We come in here, pane. So 3 steps in one. For your pane, bring it in here. Make sure you right click first. Bring the field in here. Come in here and change from fields to the name of the field and switch to pane. And there you can manipulate this aspect of your visualization. All right. Now it's in here. Right click, format, pane. Is it a pane? No, it isn't. It's not responding to us. You can see what's going on here. So it could be quite confusing. Like you feel like, oh, what's going on here? I've switched to pane, I've switched to header. No, Tableau is looking for the precision and is looking for that pane and is looking for the right field and is looking for, the positioning, if it's in here or here. So once it's here, regardless of what you do, this is as a header. Okay, I guess we all have clarity. The more you go through the video, the more you practice and use it, the better understanding you have. If you want to format the entire worksheet and not necessarily each of the elements, you can go from format, of course, and you can actually right click on it. Like I said, you can right click on any of the elements, whatever you want to edit on the axis or on the view area. So if I want to edit the entire worksheet, I'm going to right click in the middle of this worksheet and I'm going to say format. You can see this sheet is highlighted for me. So I didn't click particularly on the axis. I didn't click particularly on each of the elements. I didn't come here to say, okay, format this for me, which would give me, something entirely different. Let's do that again. Let's say axis. It's going to give me access to edit. If I come in here, so just like that. So I can come in and say format as well. You can see the entire workbook. When I say font, you can see it's similar to what it gave me when I clicked in the middle. So this is for the sheet, and that's why the sheet is highlighted. And these are the options within it, okay? This is for the font of the sheet, alignment, the shading, the borders, and the lines for the sheets, because that's what is active at the moment. So if I decide to change the worksheets font and I pick something like this color, you can see that's edited all the fonts of the sheet, regardless of it being an axis or a header. If I come to the pane, specifically for the sheet, I can say yellow. You can see just highlighted for each of the pane, which is because it contains several cells. It's not looking at the mark area, but the text, okay, for the sheet. So this is what it considers as a pane for that sheet, for the worksheet, okay. So if I come here to say header, I'm sure this category is going to change. And I say pink, you can see these are what it regards as a header. These are all the subcategory within a field name. These are the subcategory of a profit. These are the subcategory of the field element. So which is this. Let me decide to change these field labels and see. Okay, there's no field label within the worksheet. Just consider header and pane. Cool. So when I come to rows, I can actually focus on the rows alone. And again, the rows for now is profits. And see, let's see what if this will be the one to change for the header. Let's pick a different color. You can see that it changed this particular part of the visualization, which is considered as a header for the rows. And what should be the pane now for the rows? Let's pick a different color, blue. Nothing is changing for that. All right, so columns now is for category, okay? So let's change the header to something distinguishable. You can see change this category for me. When I come to the pane, it should change to purple. Okay, nothing for the pane for the columns. So yeah, it's just the sheet that has the pane for now, which is this yellow one. And again, pane is multiple cells. So this should ideally be considered a pane, but it's containing multiple cells. But this part of the bar chart, which is the mark, is controlled by this part of the visualization, which is this part of the mark area, is controlled by this. So if I want to change the color for that, I will actually come in here. Not necessarily, because text is what is controlled from the pane area, okay, for the worksheets. So that's how it works. So for the worksheets, text is what is considered as a pane. This entire region should be from the mark area. But if it's just text, for example, let's decide to make this text alone. You can see it's here. Or let's try to make it a cross tab. Let's make this discrete. Okay. If we make this discrete, I expect you to follow the same logic I gave the other time, that the pane area will be just this one, which is when it comes to text. Okay. Let's see if this is going to be affected. You can see it's affected. And this as well can also be controlled from you selecting the field, okay, switching to pane and changing. So that is when I specifically choose that field and I specifically edited the pane.